In our book, we try to share the story of how slavery is being fought in India, where massive rescue operations are bringing freedom to thousands who were once in slavery, including this 75-year-old grandmother who, though a slave all her life, on this day finally got to vote. Or this former slave who was rescued from an IJM operation there in India and actually got himself elected to office. And now he is fighting for a just nation for his children to live in. In The Locust Effect, we celebrate with hundreds of brave children who've overcome violence and have seen their abusers brought to justice. We celebrate with widows who've been restored to their land, with young people speaking to thousands of people about their dreams for justice, and with survivors of abuse like these who now mentor younger girls in the journey to justice and healing. Our book does tell a story about a hidden epidemic of everyday violence that threatens to steal away the hope of the poor. The hope for the kind of safety, freedom, and opportunity that I got to enjoy as a little boy in California, and the kind of opportunity and freedom that I now seek for my own kids. But our book also tells the story of how that hope of freedom and dignity can actually be a reality for the poorest in our world as well. And that as we care and as we share, the future for their children can look very much like the future that we seek for our own. Thank you very much.
Brad Meltzer has been a perennial bestseller known for his action thrillers, such as The Inner Circle, The Book of Fate, and The Millionaires. His newest thriller is The Fifth Assassin. He's not only a best-selling novelist, but he's also one of the only authors to have been listed on the New York Times bestsellers list for nonfiction books, advice books, children's books, and even comic books. Recently, Brad was inspired to write books for his children, starting with Heroes for My Daughter. Now he has written 3 best-selling books that share heroes with children. I Am Abraham Lincoln, I Am Albert Einstein, I Am Amelia Earhart. As you can see from the photo, our son Prescott is a huge Brad Meltzer fan. And if that were not enough, Brad has also served on the advisory board of the Barbara Bush Foundation and has been a great supporter of family literacy, for which we are all very grateful. Ladies and gentlemen, our final author, please welcome Brad Meltzer.
First of all, that photo was completely faked because last I saw Prescott, he was reading The Fifth Assassin. What I want to talk about is history. And to me, history is not a bunch of dates and facts that you memorize. History is a selection process. And it chooses every single one of us every single day. And the only question is, do you hear the call? To me, this is the call. A few years ago, I worked to save the house where Superman was created, the character Superman. And when a reporter for the Wall Street Journal was asking me about it, he said to me, "You know, Brad, this is going to be in your obituary." And my first thought was, thank you for so clearly contemplating my death. But I was struck by that idea. What's going to be in my obituary? We all will have legacies. We all will have things that people remember about us. But it's not going to be our job title. Very few of us get to take that job title. I mean, when you die, your job title fades with you. And I kept thinking about my own legacy. And it started for me with my kids. And I can tell my kids all the time, I was just tired of my own kids looking at loudmouth athletes and reality TV show stars and thinking that's a hero. I tell my kids all the time, that is fame. And being famous is very different than being a hero. And I can also, so I said, you know what, I write these books about history. I have a show on the History Channel where we deal with great historical mysteries. My thrillers are always steeped in history, thanks to President Bush and the whole Bush family. I can't thank them enough for inviting me here again, and Mandy and George P. for hosting this. And as I think about it, tonight is about legacy. It's about that same thing I was struggling with. When I first did this event so many years ago, it was so long ago, I had a full head of hair. But now we come back and we see another set of Bushes hosting us. That's the power of legacy. And as I thought about it with my own kids, I was like, I have to give them something. I have to give them real heroes. I have to use all that history and the power of history to provide for them. And to me, I started with this one, Abraham Lincoln. It was one of the first. I tell my daughter, you know, Abraham Lincoln, he's like, I know, Dad, he freed the slaves. I know. And my kids have no concept, really. They have no way to latch on to that. But if I started writing these books, and they tell the story, I am Abraham Lincoln. But if I tell my daughter that when Abraham Lincoln was 10 years old, and this is the story you'll see in there, that when he was 10 years old, he loved animals. He came upon a group of boys playing with turtles. And he saw that they weren't playing with the turtles. What they were really doing when he got up there is they were torturing the turtles. They were putting, you can see there, hot coals on the backs of the turtles. It's a true story. Putting hot coals on the backs of the turtles and torturing them. And Abraham Lincoln, in that moment, you have to decide what to do. And I don't care if you're 10 years old or you're 40 years old. Sometimes it is hard to do the right thing, but someone has to. And Abraham Lincoln on that day says to them, take the coal off the turtles, let them go. And they do. And to me, when I tell my son that story to my 6-year-old, he says, Dad, I want to be just like him. And to me, that's the goal of these books, is I want to give my kids real heroes. And what I did is, what I brought tonight is I wanted to bring something a little different. People always say, when you write the books, how do you write them? I'm going to give you the experience of writing these books. And obviously, I work with an artist, Chris Eliopoulos, one of the great artists, and I love his work. Now, I'm going to show you, I'm going to read to you, we're going to do an experiment right here. I've never done it, I love doing this. I'm going to read to you what I write to the artist. I want to ask you all right now to close your eyes, because you're going to imagine what he has to draw. So close your eyes. And this is what I wrote to him. This is from one of the later pages in the book. And it says, it's a shot of Lincoln standing on what would be the Martin Luther King's podium at the Lincoln Memorial. But he's facing us. In other words, he's facing us with his back to thousands of people in the crowd. They're crowding the mall all the way back to the Washington Memorial. As packed as it was during the March on Washington. This is the big victory shot. You all got a picture in your head of what it is? Open your eyes. This is what I write. This is what he draws, the pencils. You all have a picture in your head. Then he adds inks. Then he adds color. And this is how our children's books and my heroes come to life. And I did this again with another hero called Amelia Earhart. Now, Amelia Earhart, same way. I can tell my daughter Amelia Earhart flew across the Atlantic Ocean. You know what she says to me? Dad, everyone flies across the Atlantic these days. You know my daughter well. But if I tell her, and this is also a true story, that when Amelia Earhart was a little girl, she built a homemade roller coaster. At 7 years old, she built a homemade roller coaster in her backyard. She took a wooden crate, she put roller skating wheels on the bottom. She shoved it to the roof of her tool shed, put 2 giant 2x4s that you see there coming down from the roof, and then she greased them with lard because she wanted to make sure she went fast enough. And then she gets up on top, right? So her sister at the bottom, there's a true story. And she says to her sister, I'm going first. And her sister looks up and goes, yeah, genius, you go first, right? And then she says, in 3, 2, 1. This is what I say to my artist. Soaring in the cart, this is what he has to draw. Arms holding tight. So excited, mid-scream. This is the greatest ride ever. I am the master of description. This is the greatest ride ever. That's all he has to draw, the greatest ride ever. Just draw that, we'll be fine. Just draw that. And I have to give him some words to put on, too. So the text says, I still remember the wind in my face. My stomach seemed to sink. I was flying. Again, you got the picture in your head. This is going to be it. This is the greatest flight ever. And so he draws these pencils, and I say, I don't understand what that is. So he adds a little bit more art. Then he adds some inks. He adds some color. And then most important to the entire process, he adds my words. And this isn't true part of our history, this is the first moment Amelia Earhart flew. It is really true. What she does is when she lands, she crashes to the ground. She says later that this moment of her first flight, when her stomach first bottoms out from under her, is one of her great moments, and she wants to get back to it. She wants to do that again. And when my daughter hears that story, she says, Dad, Amelia Earhart, she's just like me. She's fun and she's daring. And now Amelia Earhart is alive again. And that's what I want. Is Amelia Earhart, she's not some black and white figure in a history book, but she's alive and she's real. And so each book tells the story of when they were kids and then when they were adults. And you'll see Lincoln free the slaves, and you'll see Amelia Earhart break all the records. But it's to bring these heroes to life. And the reason we do that, and the reason I tell them when they're little, is because when you see them when they're little, these aren't the stories of famous people. They're what we're all capable of on our very best days. Because my goal is, again, look around in our country today. We are starving for heroes. We have confused fame and being a hero in this country. And whether we like it or not, our kids and our grandkids and our nieces and our nephews are going to pick heroes. You might as well have some say in it. This is my answer. This, I hope. People know me for my thrillers. I love that. But this, I hope, is my legacy. And so we went from here. We did I Am Rosa Parks. And I always test the books on my own kids. And what I love is this book, you find the story of Rosa Parks when she's 11 years old. True story. And a boy on roller skates, a bully, comes over and shoves her down, knocks her down. And Rosa Parks gets back up and shoves him back. Now the boy is white. Rosa Parks, of course, is black. And when that happens, the boy's mother comes racing over and screams in her face and says, "You ever touch my son again, I will have you thrown in jail forever." And Rosa Parks in that moment, you're a little 11-year-old girl and someone's yelling at you, adult is yelling at you. I mean, I wouldn't falter for crying, but what Rosa Parks does in that moment, she stands up to this woman. Most important, she stands up for herself. And she says to this woman, "Your son started this with me. I'm just protecting myself. I don't want him bothering me anymore." She says she got the lesson from her grandfather and her mother who taught her to stand up for herself. And when my kids, my older son, who's 12 years old, was reading the book, my younger son read the book, and my daughter read the book. And my younger son, a couple months ago, was bullied in the cafeteria. It was actually a kid who was pushing him around, basically telling him where to sit. It wasn't horrible, but it was enough that it was a bullying incident. My older son came up to him and said to my younger son, "You need to be like Rosa Parks. You need to stand up to the bully." And my younger said, "Yeah, I need to be like Rosa Parks." And my wife is telling me the story, and I'm like, she's in tears. And I'm hearing the story and going, "Oh my gosh, it's working exactly what we thought." And I said, "No one will ever tell my son that he cannot be an elderly African-American woman. No one." But I love the fact that to my boys, Rosa Parks is as vital today as she ever has been. And that is why we want to do these books. My goal, we do Rosa Parks. Albert Einstein came out 2 weeks ago. In January, this is one of the first times anyone's seen the cover, this is Jackie Robinson. These are my heroes. And my goal is not to sell you a book or two. My goal is to help you build a library of real heroes for your kids and your grandkids and your nieces and your nephews, so that you can show them what it really means to be an American hero. I know that so many of us are here today because of a hero in our lives, right? What Barbara Bush started, what President Bush started, what the Bush family continues to do. For so many people in this room, they're their heroes. And what I realize when I think about heroes is a hero is one thing. It's not about your job title. It's not about being the president. No one's born the president. What it is, your life is what you make of it. And I know for all of us, it's the power of an ordinary person. That is what these books are about for me. You'll see in the top left-hand corner is what the books are titled. Ordinary People Change the World. That is what I believe. I believe that ordinary people change the world. I believe in regular people and their ability to affect change in this world. I don't care where you went to school. I don't care how much money you make. That is nonsense to me. I believe in regular people. And it's why I believe in what Barbara Bush started 25 years ago, is giving all those ordinary people, like all of us, the power. And all the people here, all of you here, come and you show your power. And I will tell you, I study history all the time. And when you think about your legacy, your family will remember you. Your friends will remember you if you do a good job. If you're really lucky, your community will remember you. And if you're really lucky and you work hard enough, complete and utter strangers will be part of your legacy. That's what was in my obituary when he wrote it. I had the Wall Street Journal reporter write my obituary for me. And I can tell you that I work so hard talking to kids and talking in schools, but I can tell you on behalf of the Barbara Bush Foundation and what they do here and what Liza works so hard to do, is that you are all now part of that legacy. There are kids who you will never know. They'll never know your names, you'll never know theirs, but your support here tonight for this family, for this event, makes you a part of their legacy and a part of their history. And I promise you this, you're not just a hero for that, and you don't just live well for that, but when you do that, you live forever. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the combined choirs from the Richardson Independent School District. Legacy from Richardson Senior High School under the direction of Lindy Perez, and Forte from J.J. Pierce Senior High School under the direction of Michael Leisinger.
Although this way Thanks again to our combined choir, Legacy and Forte, joining us from Richardson ISD. I thank all of our talented authors for joining us and sharing your time with us this evening to celebrate literacy. But before Mandy and I let you go to join us in the lobby for Light Supper, just wanted to announce our new partnership with Southwest Airlines. You will see cards featured on your tables where you can enter in for 2 VIP passes to the upcoming Florida celebration of reading in 2015. Manny and I have had a chance to enjoy it over the years. It's a special weekend with an equal amount of delight in celebrating literacy. We hope that you all have enjoyed the evening. Thank you for your support of the foundation. May God bless each and every one of you, and may God bless the great United States of America.